Welcome. Welcome to the channel. Wonderful, very recently opened space here at Hamer Hall, where tonight we will be launching the 2015 Freeplay Independent Games Festival, which is pretty exciting. But before we get started, on behalf of Freeplay, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which our festival will be taking place, the people of the Kulin Nation. And I'd like to pay our respects to all their elders, past and present, and to any other elders from other communities who might be here tonight. My name is Ben McKenzie, and I'm the production manager for Freeplay this year. I'm very fortunate, and this is the 4th year in which I'm fulfilling that role, which is weird because it means I've been with the festival longer than anyone working on it this year, which feels very strange. But I'm really excited about this year's Freeplay Festival for a number of reasons. First of all, it is our biggest festival ever, and you'll hear more about that in a moment. But also, my first Freeplay experience was in 2005 when I went along to a talk about whether games could be political and about satire in games, where a good friend of mine, Lawrence Lung, who is going to be participating in an event at the Wheeler Centre on Monday, showed off a game that he had made for a sketch in which he talked to people from the Young Liberals and told them that video games are a great way to reach out to the kids, and was very convincing. They didn't know who he was at the time because he wasn't amazingly famous like he is now. And he said, I've got a game, I've actually made a game. I've made a game for you, I think you'll love it. And then he showed them basically a clone of Space Invaders, except instead of alien spaceships, it was people in boats trying to get into Australia, and instead of a spaceship down the bottom shooting at them, it was John Howard in a naval battleship throwing cricket bats. That was my introduction to Freeplay. And the discussion that ensued around that, not just that game, but also Escape from Woomera, which was still big news at the time, and all the discussions around that made me realize that in Melbourne there is a ripe community for having a really deep and interesting conversation about games. And so I got really into it. I came back year after year, and eventually I started working on the festival, and so I feel very honored to be here tonight introducing our launch. But I'm not the main speaker for tonight. I'm not the person who will officially launch the festival. That honor, of course, belongs to the director, the 2015 Freeplay Independent Festival Director, the one and only Mr. Dan Golding.
Hi. So this is my wonderful speech prepared so artfully on my portable device here. In 2002, there was an exhibition of video games curated at the Barbican in London called Game On. A number of years later, it travelled to Australia. It showed at Acme here. You might remember it. The games academic Eric Zimmerman at the time was invited to write something for the exhibition catalogue. And so he contributed an essay that was titled, Do Independent Games Exist? In it, he offered 2 possible perspectives, one in which independent games existed and one in which they did not. So in 2002, he writes, it's possible to assert that there aren't any independent games at all, that the game industry consists entirely of mainstream corporate product, that the independent game is a myth, that the games industry is Hollywood without the independent films, a hit-driven business that is all center and no margins. Just 2 years later, as I understand it, here in Melbourne, 2 people called Catherine Neal and Marcus Westbury started talking. Catherine was the brains behind Escape from Woomera, a game made by Atari Australia employees on the sly, I suppose, using a government grant. The game had made the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald. When was the last time since that a game made the front page of the Sydney Morning Herald? And was, for its time, incredibly controversial. Marcus Westbury was then the director of the Next Wave Festival here in Melbourne, and he wanted to see if maybe Escape from Woomera could be part of the festival that year. But, again, as I understand it, this all very quickly moved from let's do something about Escape from Woomera at Next Wave to let's create an entire 2-day festival dedicated to video games. So in 2004, less than 2 years after Eric Zimmerman had argued that it's possible to assert that there aren't any independent video games at all. Here in Melbourne, Freeplay, 2 words, not one, the Next Wave Independent Game Developers Conference was created. It's now 2015. Freeplay is now a single word. And this is our 10th festival, and our biggest yet, running for 10 days. 10 years has been lifetimes in the context of Australian games. What in film or pretty much any other industry might have been a single generation, in games has been multiple generations, multiple styles, problems, questions, communities. Understanding fully what went on in that decade is something that I'm not going to bore you with today, but I do want to mention one thing. One of our international guests recently mentioned to me that she considers Australia to be the birthplace of the modern art game globally. Freeplay is certainly not responsible for that. I'm not going to lay claim to that. But Freeplay has been here for that, and it's witnessed it. What I think Freeplay is about, for me anyway, is the artistry of games. Making, creating, critiquing, dissecting, presenting an open hand to those who want to know more about games. In these 10 years, Freeplay has played host to an amazing set of speakers, some of which we forget have come to Australia, like international stars, Jonathan Blow, Kieran Gillen, Brandon Boyer, and Harvey Smith. Harvey Smith spoke at the very first Freeplay Festival. And it's had games like Brawsome, Antichamber, Stickets, and Framed find their feet at its awards. But more excitingly than all that, Freeplay has seen an array of local grassroots people from all aspects of game culture and beyond pass through it. The people whose names have not yet and may never set the world on fire. Because whatever Freeplay is, I think, it exists in communities, and I use that in the plural deliberately. It exists in communities of people. It pulls people in. Before we even get to our amazing fleet of on-the-day volunteers, our red t-shirts, as you'll see them around the festival, this year we have had 27 people working on Freeplay to make it happen. 27 people. These communities that have driven Freeplay have also given us the other value that I think is really at the heart of the festival, which is inclusivity. We have more than 70 speakers this year. For the first time in Freeplay's history, more than half of those are women. We have more international speakers than ever this year with our online program. And 80% of Freeplay this year is also completely free. So what's Freeplay? This year, it's a 10-day festival, which, let me tell you, seemed like a really good idea at the time. It's our biggest festival ever by some margin. We've got our online festival, which starts tonight at midnight, with Bennett Foddy, Siobhan Reddy, and Alex Hutchinson telling us about life as Australians working internationally. We've got a collaboration with the Wheeler Centre to introduce games culture to the curious on Monday, with Lawrence Lung, who, as Ben said before, attended, if not the first, then at least the second ever Freeplay Festival, and Scott Edgar of Tripod fame, and of course Lena Van Deventer and Vanessa Toholka, who I'm sure they're here somewhere. Hi, Lena. We've got our first ever Freeplay Fete next Saturday, where DIY workshops will meet stalls of game makers. And then on Sunday, we finish with a bang. In the morning, we have an unconference where anyone can speak. In the afternoon, we have a symposium featuring a keynote from the Grammy-nominated game composer Austin Wintory. That's the first ever composer for video games nominated for a Grammy Award. We have Crossy Roads, Matt Hall, and Andy Sum in conversation. I'm not sure if they're here somewhere. A series of super short Pecha-Kucha-style talks from developers on the games that inspired them, and the first ever Freeplay debate featuring Ben McKenzie, Sheree Davidson, who you'll both hear from before, along with Harry Lee and Claire Hosking debating whether games are about technology. And tickets for all of that are still on sale, by the way. Actually, there is one more thing I can say. I think this is the I know this is the first time this has been made public. In your programs, you'll find that there is a little TBC in the symposium, and thankfully today I can say that that will be New Zealand developer Lucy Morris, who's coming over, which is going to be great. And then, finally on Sunday night, we have our awards, of which Cherie is about to get up here to announce the finalists, if she can ever drag me away from this microphone. But there's a few people that I need to thank before we begin Freeplay for 2015, I think. I'm going to save my full and, like, to be honest, probably quite teary thank you speech for the awards at the end of the festival. So tonight is the abbreviated list. Thank you to all our speakers and volunteers. You make the festival what it is. Thank you to all our venues and partners, especially David and the team here at the channel for this amazing venue tonight. Thanks to our sponsors and partners, Surprise Attack and Film Victoria, both of which have given us crucial support this year. Thank you to Marigold Bartlett and Terry Burdak for literally making us look good. That's Goldie's art, of course, and Terry's design went into the beautiful little booklet that I hope you've got a copy of. Thank you to Brendan Keogh and all the contributors in our program booklet as well. Thanks to our event producers, Chad Toprak, Lina Van Deventer, Amani Nassim, Snow McNally, Erin McKillany. Is that correct? No. Yeah. Yep. Maya Violet and Andrew Brophy. Thanks to our amazing volunteer coordinator, Fraser Allison, and to our awards chair, Cherie Davidson, and to our judges. Thanks to our programming committee, our board, particularly Trent Custers. Trent, are you here? Trent? Typical. So Trent's really helped to define this new era of Freeplay, is what I was going to say. No, Trent's been amazing. And finally, of course, thanks to Ben McKenzie, who really more than anyone else, perhaps more than me, has helped make this Freeplay a reality. So, phew, probably more than any of my academic pontificating earlier, someone once described me as being an academic pontificator, and I've sort of taken that to heart. I feel like it's a good description. That list of names, actually, more than that earlier, that list of names is really what Freeplay is, I think. And I think I kind of want to celebrate that this year as well. Everyone in this room will know that the last year in games has been hard. It's been really hard. And I hope that Freeplay this year reminds us all of why we're here in the first place. So that's all that's left to do, really, is to say welcome to Freeplay 2015. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. That was wonderful. Okay, so I have the great pleasure of announcing the finalists. I haven't really prepared anything to say except really their names, so I hope they're ready. I do want to say, actually, before we start, thank you to the judges. So Dan already said that. I'll thank them again, and we'll thank them again when we actually announce who the winners are at the end of the festival. But I also want to thank all the applicants. We had over 80 games submitted, and that is amazing. It's a lot of work, but it's amazing. So thank you all for submitting and for all making really good games. We had a lot of difficulty, quite long discussions trying to figure out who should be on these finalist lists. So I want everyone who did submit to feel good about yourselves, because the representation from Australia is phenomenal. Okay, so let's get to it, shall we? Best design. Starting with, we ready? Guildmaster. Push Me, Pull You. Hand of Fate. The Time Project. And Screen Sheet. Visual art. So this one was a particularly hard category. We had a lot of games that made it to the shortlist for this, and therefore we actually have 2 extra nominations in this area. Finalists in this area. So this one will take a little bit longer. Submerged. Movement Study 1. Rise to Power. Hand of Fate. Fort Meow. Crossy Road, and The Time Project.
Yeah.
Best audio. Assault Android Cactus. Okay. FutureVoxImaginarium.exe. Yeah? Okay. Take special note of how that's at the top of the image as well. Fort Meow. Hand of Fate. And Submerged. Best narrative. Killing Time at Light Speed. Forget Me, Not. Movement Study 1. To Be or Not to Be. Project Venn. Okay, tech is another category I need to give a brief introduction to. You may have noticed in previous years it has been Best Technical Innovation. We intentionally changed this category to tech to broaden it to a wider range of interpretations. So these games are all nominated for various reasons, not necessarily because they have the best technology, they'll use the technology the best way, or because they are the most technically innovative. So keep that in mind. FutureVoxImaginarium.exe. Hacknet. Jilcian. Movement Study 1. And Space Dust Races. Last category for the evening, but a very important one, non-digital. And a special thanks to Ben for helping us out with this category. The Road. Keller's Magic Emporium. Rise to Power. Hedron. And Guildmaster. That wraps it up. Thank you all for listening. Congratulations if you were in the finalists. Have some fun days waiting until the winners are announced, or the best of, sorry, are announced and the Freeplay Award is announced. I'll pass it back to Dan.
Thanks, Sri. I mean, I should say actually, apart from making my life easier, I mean, I saw the list of submissions when they came in, and I was like, I am having nothing to do with this whatsoever because this is way, way too difficult. Apart from anything, I'd just like to thank Sri as well because this is the first time we've had a chair of the awards, and it's made a huge difference. She's been amazing as well. So thank you, Sri. So now we're going to do something. I don't know if we've necessarily. I hope he's still there. God, I hope he's still there.
Hey.
Hi, Louis.
Hey. Is it working? Is it working? I don't trust the internet, man. I don't trust the internet, man.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Cool. So should I just take over from here?
Go for it.
Can you hear like the weird reverb? That's coming out to me? Cool. All right. Let's ignore it. So, Louis. This is going to be 30 seconds ago. Ignore that. I run SK games. By the way, did you mention that?
Darren Perth is what he's
setting up for because we're making money.
Louis, hi. Louis, hi. No. Yeah, hi. If you can speak in short sentences, the audio is like not amazing.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. The mic is muted here already.
Kickstart. Freeplay posted about it. That was. Is it fucking down? I like that.
Yeah. Show us stuff, I'd say.
Alright, so behind me is a game called One Heart. which is being played on things. They're actually ashtrays, but now pasting. Let's see what else we got. So that'll be nice. So no one's here yet. But we do have nice thing to do. Here's the bar, by the way. There's no one here yet. But what we decided to do for Freeplay, opening our store, or you might say launching our store, like a shit. Is it too dark? Can you see the car? Oh. Can you see this? Backyard. It says backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Can you see Soph? Get on the car.
I can see it. So anyway, this is still lunch. Yeah. Oh shit. I mean, golly. So yeah, this is our backyard. We're launching We're in Melbourne next week. So that's where you guys probably are. We'll be there for the fete. We've got a party on Thursday night. And whatever else happens.
Can't wait to see you all.
See you guys.
Thank you. See ya. So, as illuminating as that was, I will just reconvey some of those words that were said, which is that SK, who are our collaborators, have just launched an online store for distribution of locally made indie games. They launched that, hence the smashing of the beer bottle. And they're coming to Melbourne to be part of our fete on not tomorrow, but next Saturday. So they'll be here. They'll be running a whole bunch of stuff, running some of the games that we sort of saw. So, with that, I don't think we've got any more wonders of Google Hangouts to show you. So with that, we might... it's a bar. You're invited to receive drinks from it in exchange for money. Buy tickets to Freeplay if you haven't already. And with that, I guess I declare the games open or something. So.